Hello, this is Tyler White. Today I'm going to talk to you about a Paiute deadfall. So what does it take to make a Paiute deadfall? Well, for the Paiute deadfall, as opposed to the figure 4 deadfall, you need some string, right? For this, we have some dog bane string. Dog bane I've showed how to make in another video, and just a couple little pieces of wood. Now, you're gonna have your vertical piece of wood right here, and it's basically gonna have what I like to call the flathead screwdriver tip, okay? It's just cut to a fairly solid wedge right there in the middle. Then you're gonna have your little trigger piece, which is about, it's just a little, this can be a little chunk of bone, this can be a little chunk of wood. Okay, you're gonna have your string, you're gonna have your bone or a little piece of wood on the back for your paddle, and then you're gonna have your vertical piece. Now, it's fairly simple the way that this is gonna work. Essentially, you're gonna have the wood resting on your vertical piece and your horizontal piece like this, and then it's going to wrap around the backside, okay? So as it pulls, and then the last piece that you're gonna have is a trigger stick. Now I'm gonna make a little bit better trigger stick, but the trigger stick basically looks like that. And what's happening is the rock is pushing down on this, the trigger stick is being pushed up into the bottom of the groove of the rock, and then you put some bait on the top of it. And then when an animal grabs a hold of that bait, this falls, it causes your trigger falls, it causes this to release and kick up, and the wood or the rock will fall down on top and smash the animal so that you can collect it and process it. All right, so let's set this up. I've got some pretty amazingly perfect flat table rock type of stones here that we can use. Tons of ants, evidently. And what we're gonna do is set this up this way. Now, there's a rock on the bottom. That's an ideal situation. If you don't have a secondary rock that's flat like this, at least have a small pebble or something here, because what you don't want is for this one to get wedged into the dirt and then not move. So make sure that it can still kick out or be smooth when it's time to go. Now, what I'll do is I'll add this guy right like this. Okay, that's gonna hold the weight. This is gonna come up here and wrap around the back of it. You gotta kind of watch what the grooves are at. And try to do this without smashing your fingers. Like, I tend to get fingers smashed quite often when I'm setting these if I put too much pressure on them. Then you're gonna put this trigger stick, and keep it from rocking on me, right up underneath into a groove if you can. Try to find a groove up underneath the rock that it will grab on. Okay, it's holding. Now, it took me a couple tries and it took me a couple trigger sticks to make this work. The reason why that's relevant and the reason why I want to show you that is because this is a very hair trigger trap. That's important because mice and jumping mice and squirrels and whatever, they're little. They don't have a lot of weight. They don't have a lot of force. So once this Paiute deadfall is set up, even with this thinnest piece of little stick I have right here, if I put just a little bit of bait right up there at the top. And the animal gets up here and just barely touches it. It'll crush it, okay? And as you notice, because of the fact that we didn't set it up on soft sand, we had a rock platform here, it bucked out, okay? That's important. It's super important that when you set up your deadfall, you have this outside of the falling space of your rock. Because if that comes down and even that happens, there's enough space for the animal to get away, and they'll just trip your trap, take your bait, and you won't be successful with it. So when you're setting up your Paiute deadfall, again, the key things to look for is this is a perfect rock. Find a rock that at least has a flat base on it. Get a flat level surface underneath the bottom. Another rock is best. If you don't have one, then at least get a rock in the ground where your holding vertical stick stands so that it'll slip and it will fly when the trap is triggered. All right, guys, hopefully this is valuable to you. That's how to set up a Paiute deadfall. The way that we make these, a simple notch in the top, you can look right there, and then a flat level space to hold the rock, and then grooves on the back. That's the most complicated piece right there. Just cut straight down, cut in, flip it over, cut it at an angle, make this one flat. That's your top piece. Your bottom piece is vertical. If you have a little bit of a groove in the base, it helps because that gives you the ability to have your string grip on something. And then your little paddle at the bottom, all that has is just a couple little grooves that are cut in so that the rope won't wander. And then on one end, if you have just a little bit of a crack, your trigger stick will be able to grip it, okay? So just right at little crack there for the trigger stick, and then point that trigger stick up underneath the bottom. I like to use thinner trigger sticks than this, but I broke 2 of them, so I got a bigger one. And then this trigger stick will just grab the tiniest of ledges, okay? That little ledge right underneath the bottom of there is all that it needs to hold on to the rock, and it's pushing into the rock. So once you put a piece of bait, a piece of cheese, a piece of food, whatever it is, a berry, stick it right up underneath there. When an animal comes to grab it, they will pop it loose, the whole thing falls down, and you have dinner. Hopefully that was valuable to you. If it was, please subscribe. Check our channel out. We've got more deadfalls that we can show you, other videos, and a whole other deep well of knowledge from other instructors. All right, this has been Paiute Deadfall by Tyler White. Thank you for watching.